Bullet points that sell and differentiate. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to create your bullet points using your keywords that will help you both sell and differentiate your product from others. So after the title, the bullet points are the first text your customers are going to see on your product listing, and they do have an important role to play. They also take up more real estate than the title. In other words, you've got more words to play with. Bullet points, generally speaking, have a limit of 500 characters. However, some categories have less according to their style guides. So your bullet point functions. Bullet points have two main functions. First, keyword relevance for getting better search rankings and to help sell your product. In other words, they help with conversion. Changing just one bullet point can have a big impact on your conversion rate, so bullet points should not be discounted. Bullet point content. Tell your prospective customer why they should buy your product. Use a mixture of features and especially benefits. And indirectly call out competitors' weaknesses. Now, it's important here you don't name the other products and what's wrong with them, but you should by now, after doing your research, know, using reviews, what your competitors' weaknesses are, and to differentiate your product from the competition. Lastly, you're going to remove risk and use all 5 bullet points. So here's an example. Your first bullet point, big differentiator, and use keywords. Your second bullet point could be a feature expressed as a benefit to the buyer, and again, use keywords. The third bullet point, a feature expressed as a benefit to the buyer, and again, you're going to use keywords. The fourth bullet point, highlight a problem that you know competitors have and how your product removes the problem, and again, use keywords. Lastly, the risk removal. It's a manufacturer guarantee or promise, and again, use keywords. Now, as you'll see, you don't have to stick to this. This is just an example of 5 bullet points you could use. Bullet point rules. Begin each bullet point with a capital letter. Write all numbers as numerals. So if 20 is in your bullet point, use 2 and a 0. Do not spell the word 20. Separate phrases in one bullet with semicolons. This is really important. And do not use hyphens, symbols, periods, or exclamation points. For those of you with English degrees, you need to forget all about that. For whatever reason, Amazon have these rules and you must stick to them. And do not include promotional and pricing information. Lastly, do not include shipping or company information. Now in this lesson, we're also going to cover the back-end search terms. The back-end search terms or keywords are very important. They can only contain 250 characters total, and this does not include spaces. They should not include any words in your title or bullet points. And this is something we're continually testing. And they should not have any separators like commas or periods. It's very important you stick to these rules, especially the 250 characters. Amazon are particularly strict about this. And even if you have 251 characters, they could de-index all the words in your back-end search terms. And what this means is your listing will not show up for any of those keywords, so it is important. So let's go and create our bullet points. Okay, so here we are back at Helium 10, and I just wanted to show you something quickly that I forgot to show you in the last lesson, but you should have saved everything in text files anyway. And that is, you can always export as JSON. You see it here, but what this also does is enable to save it in your history. So if I wanted to save where I am right now, in other words my title, I just click on export as JSON and then save in history, and now it will appear under my history box. So for our bullet points, we actually want to have all our keywords back in the unused section, because we can use keywords that were in our title in our bullet points. Now we could use the used ones down here, but we don't know what the order is. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Scribbles again, paste it into the master keywords box, and then we can start writing our bullet points. The description, don't worry about that. We're going to get to that in the next lesson. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it a bit clearer. And then I'm going to scroll down so that we can see our bullet points. Now, I'm not going to go through each one and write them out in front of you. And I have already created them. I'm going to paste them into the box, and then I'm going to explain what they are and how I did it. Now, the other thing is, you can, if you see in the bottom right-hand corner, these 2 lines, if you click on that with your left mouse button and drag, you can make the box bigger. And I recommend you do that. So for the first bullet point, I'm looking for a big differentiator here, something that makes my product and or brand stand out from the rest. So I've typed in mini bike pump with gauge. So basically it's our main keyword, and I've added with gauge because gauge is an important keyword. And I've put our bicycle pump is built with the highest quality materials to the highest quality standards you should expect, and includes an emergency puncture repair kit, so you'll never have to worry about being stranded with a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. So as you can see, there are a lot of words in here that are not keywords, and that's perfectly normal because it's not just about our keywords, it's also about helping to sell and convert our product. So I've stressed that we use high quality materials and that we have high standards. In other words, we're telling the customer that they're not going to get a cheap, poorly made product. And then I've also added another feature, which is the emergency puncture repair kit and the benefit of that feature. Now, it's important to note here, you can mix and match your bullet points. So you can have a bullet point that's just features, you can have a bullet point that's just benefits, or you can have a bullet point that mixes both. In other words, tells you the feature and the benefit in the same bullet point. There's no hard and fast rule. The example I gave you earlier is just an example. The only thing you're always going to have is the fifth bullet point is always going to be some kind of risk reversal for your customer. In other words, if they've got any objections about buying your product, you're going to cover that and make them feel comfortable that they can buy your product. And we do that with a manufacturer guarantee, but we'll get to that shortly. But you'll also notice by the used keywords that I have used a lot of keywords that are in our master list. I use bike, pump, tire, bicycle, kit, mini, gauge. And for the most part, you want to, just like the title, use the ones at the beginning, but it doesn't matter if you also use ones further down your list. You have plenty of space to work with. You've got 5 bullet points and up to 500 characters. Now, don't go overboard trying to get to 500 characters. My bullet points are normally between 200 and 300. It's more about delivering your message and telling the customers why they should buy your product. So we've done our first bullet point. So I can actually make this box smaller now, and we can concentrate on bullet 2. And again, I'm just going to drag it down so we've got a bit more space. And for this one, I'm going to add a feature and a benefit. So I've written specialized high-tech adapter, and this is obviously a feature. And it's a newly designed performance adapter that prevents air leaks, which means no more wasted energy pumping and losing air, complete with 3 needles. I actually had a comma in there. I'm actually going to make it a semicolon. And then compatible, I could actually make that a capital C because it's a new phrase. Compatible with both Presta and Schrader valves. So I've got a feature in there, the specialized high-tech adapter, and what the benefit is. It stops the air leaks. If you remember from the previous lesson, I did mention that some of the reviews of my competitors were actually showing, but I'm not using this one as the main problem with other competitors. We're going to get to that in the 4th bullet point. So again, you can see I've used a lot of the keywords. But again, the most important thing is that you're telling your customer why your product is so good. So for the 3rd bullet point, I'm just going to make it bigger again. We're going to use another feature and benefit, accurate and extra large gauge. The gauge is easy to read and will help you to set your desired pressure easily and accurately. No more incorrect tire pressures on different terrains. Now, I'm no expert on bikes. I assume that you want different tire pressures for the road and for off-roading. But you can see I've only used 182 characters. Again, it's not crucial, but when you write these, just write them out and then look at what they say and then look to see if you can actually include other keywords from your list. But I'm going to add all the other bullet points first so we can see what we're left with. So if you had written this and you got to this point, okay, it's only 182 characters, but it is a good bullet point, although let's remove a comma and make it a semicolon. So let's go add our 4th bullet point. And the 4th bullet point is actually going to be the indirect calling out of our competitors' problem. And if you remember, I did mention in the previous lesson, there were a lot of mini bike pumps that would continually fall out of their mounts. So I'm going to cover that now. Secure bike frame mount. All our portable pumps come with our secure clamp and bracket. No slip mount, no more worries. This doesn't read very well, so I'm actually going to put a semicolon in there. No slip mount, no more worries about the pump falling off while you are at top speed. And it is portable and compatible with road bikes, mountain bikes, and electric bicycles. You can see I've got some more keywords in there. You can see this group is increased, this one's getting smaller. But again, it's all about calling out your competitors' issues. Now, I'm just going to scroll down and we're going to add the 5th bullet point, and then we can go back and look to see if we can add some more keywords without ruining the effect of us persuading our customers that our product is the best. And this is all about risk reversal. So you can see I've got 100% satisfaction guarantee. Our mini bicycle pump is backed by our manufacturer 30-day money-back guarantee with 1-year free replacement warranty. The critical word in this is manufacturer. Any guarantee you put in your listing, in the bullet points, it must say manufacturer, because it's not you as the seller, even though you are the manufacturer. It's just the wording Amazon want to see. It's very important that you include manufacturer. Now for this bullet point, we're not too concerned about adding keywords, but let's scroll back up and let's look at our keywords. So we've got BMX here, so I could include that even though we had it in our title. So I could put it here. It's portable and compatible with BMX, road bikes, mountain bikes, and electric bicycles. So now BMX has disappeared. Valve is a pretty good keyword. It does appear a lot, and it was at the top. So how about that prevents valve air leaks? So I've got that one in. Now we did mention that our product comes with a needle to inflate balls. You notice I haven't got this in there, but it is something I could add. I could add it in one of the features ones and add a benefit. So that's something I could add. So I'm looking here, wheels, cycling. Let me see how I could fit that in. So how about, you'll never have to worry again about being left stranded with a flat tire in the middle of nowhere while cycling. Now, it's not jumping out at me. It doesn't really grip me. I'm not even sure that it improves this bullet point, but it has used another keyword. If I push the space bar, you can see it disappears. But it's just a case of like tweaking these. Once you've written them out, go and look what you're missing. Go and look if there's important words here that you could use. The patch, actually, did I mention? So patch, it's an emergency puncture patch repair kit. Again, I've managed to squeeze another keyword in. It's okay. I think it's perfectly acceptable, but that's basically what you need to do. You need to work your way through these. The easiest and best way to do this is just write them out and then edit them afterwards. And as with the title, you're always going to split test these. In other words, when you've got more information about your keywords, you can come back, you can tweak the title, leave it for a week, see if it improves your conversion rate. Then do the same thing for your bullet points. Change them, change the order, or write a completely new one and replace one of the old ones, and then leave it a week and see if it's improved conversions. It's important that you continually test your listing. But initially, we just want to do the best job we can of trying to sell our product as well as using keywords. Now at this point, we're going to deal with the back-end search terms. For the most part, you should not include any keywords that are in your bullet points or title in your back-end keywords. This is something we are testing continually, and it is something that Amazon change on a regular basis. If there are any changes, we will make you aware in the community. And if it's an important one, we'll actually send an email. But to do the back-end keywords, because we don't want the title keywords in there too, we're going to paste our title back in. Now you can actually change the limit that shows here by clicking on the pencil icon and editing it. But it's just as easy to leave the 2000 in and then work with your keywords. So we've got all these keywords right here to use. So I'm going to click on and drag. We'll take the top 4 lines. Let's take the top 5 lines and see how many that is. Now when you get this, you can click yes, and it will actually allow you to go in here, and then you want to select the lines you want, right click, click copy, and then you can go back in, paste them into your keyword box, and automatically it's going to remove all of those keywords from your main keywords. So you can see we've got 224. Now that is 224 characters including the spaces in between the words. And as I said earlier, we do not include the spaces. So we've actually got less than 224. For the sake of this training, I'm not going to go and count them. In fact, for the sake of this training, we'll just assume that the number here is the actual number of characters. Okay? When you do this, you do not count the spaces. It's very important. Now, one other quick thing, those eagle-eyed among you will have noticed that I actually had the title in the description, so I fixed that. But let's go back to our keyword. So we're going to assume I've got 26 characters left. So I'm going to click in Edit Master Keywords, and I should have mentioned that earlier instead of just clicking the box. You can do it by clicking there. And I'm going to copy the keywords down to gauges. That's probably going to take us over, but we'll soon find out. And you can see we've gone to 275. So I need to remove 25 characters. Now you are going to get more data on your keywords once you've launched your product and you've got ads running. For now, we're just going to have to work with what we're given by the keyword tool. We're going to assume that the ones that appeared earlier in our unused keywords are the most important. But when you go through this and start removing stuff, if you see a keyword in your unused keywords that you think is highly relevant and a really good keyword for your product, then by all means take that one, put it into your keywords and remove something else that makes less sense to you. At the end of the day, we're just trying to do our best to get as many keywords as possible under the character limit into our back-end keywords. So I've got to remove 275, so I'm going to run through these. These are all looking good. I've actually got ball up here, so I'm actually going to delete basketball. So now we're at 264, so I've got to remove 14. I don't think roadside's a particularly good keyword. So now we're to 255, so I need to remove 5 more. And I'm looking, most of these actually make a lot of sense. Right now I'm looking at racing. as being one I might remove. And in fact, that's what I'm going to do. I imagine racing bikes have probably got specific types of pumps. You know, if you're involved in bike racing, even if you use them, like normally I assume you've got support teams and everything, but I'm going to remove racing. And now you can see we're at 248, which is under our 250 character. Once again, I am counting spaces here. When you do this, you do not count spaces. So in reality, if this was you, you'd probably have another 20 or so characters to work with. So as far as this training goes, I'm done right now. Again, if you see anything that's fabulous over in the left here, for instance, patches, I think that's a pretty good keyword. I might come in here and maybe replace pocket with patches or something along those lines. By all means do that, because until you've got a lot of really good data from running Amazon ads, to a certain extent, this is guesswork. We just want to do our best possible job of getting the keywords we assume, because of the tool, are going to give us the best results. Now, I did show you earlier that you can save these files, but personally, I'm a little bit old school. I prefer to go and put them all in a document on my computer. So I would go and copy all of the bullet points and the keywords and put them into a text document with my title that I keep on my computer. Then once we've got everything together, we can take that document and just quickly go in and optimize our quick listing. So we covered how to create your product listing bullet points and your backend keywords too. In the next lesson, you're going to discover how to create your product description. For now, your action step, create and save your bullet points and backend keywords into a text file with your title. And we'll be using that in a couple of lessons' time. But that's it for this lesson. Take care.